So,
You asked for it, you get it. Ryu and I will rip your photos into smithereens. Hold on to your headphones. Here comes the pain.
yes, it's another fun episode of Big Lens Fast Shutter. Hopefully, it's going to be as exciting as, I don't know, something that's exciting. I don't know what else can actually be exciting of looking at crappy photos, but that's kind of how it works. So, let's see if we can actually get through all 13 of them. Um, Matt and I had a bit of discussion, just house stuff, about how we can actually kind of go forth with the training ground. And Matt will describe very briefly something we will probably likely try from the next training ground on.
Yeah, we're just going to have two threads, I guess. One for if you want to submit your pictures, you can definitely do that like normal. But we're also, how we've been doing it so far is inviting pictures that come into the group that we would like to comment on and we think that other people would be helped by. But the problem is that people just dump their pictures in the group and move on and don't understand that this is what this group is about. So we're just going to put them in ourselves. So pictures that we see coming into the pool are just going to go into a thread, and then we'll merge the thread. We'll do the show based on that, and you can follow along just like normal. So if you've been submitting every month, this doesn't change anything for you. If you haven't been submitting, your pictures will likely find their way into here if you put them into our pool. That's just how it's going to be, so that we have enough to do a show and help the people that are watching.
And then just for a bit more housekeeping stuff, the podcast will be recorded after the 30th of April, right? Correct?
Yeah, the end of the month.
The end of the month. So if you want to like put your wonderful pictures on assignment desk and things like that, you have an opportunity to do so. Here we go. It's read and it's track and field or athletics, and it is high jump.
Yeah, it's really funny because I grew up around track and field, but I've never shot track and field. I don't know why that is, but
never.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that you can't like be under the bar like where he's jumping, and you can't be on the mat where he lands or whatever, but this is a bad place to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's the best version of this that could happen from this spot. And I can't really, I guess if the guy was coming from the other way and his head was towards you and his face was towards you or whatever, that might be a little bit, but I can't, you're just not getting anything from this angle. Like just the motion of how they're running, which is at the end away from you, right? So they're taking a curved run up to that bar. They're running towards you for a little bit, but by the time that they're in their takeoff, they're jumping away from you. So yeah, I mean, there's things that you can do, but what are they? Super tight and just the shoes going over the bar or something like that, that kind of strips out all the other context. But from where the distance where you are to the subject, the distance from the subject to the background is not really in your favor, and the angle is off, right? So you want either to be parallel or perpendicular to the bar, not this weird like 30-degree angle or something like that. And then again, the action is going away from you. So this was just a bad spot, and I hope you didn't stay here for too long.
Yeah, because the key is that you want to see the person's face. I'm not saying you have to. I mean, like, unless the action is just overwhelmingly very, very good, it's fine. You don't have to actually see the person's face at all, but that's not the case over here. The arm is cut off in a really weird way, and that's also a no-no. Like, you just cannot do it that way. Because like once I saw, like the first time I saw this photo, when I was actually trying to make the list of all the photos that have been submitted, the first thing I noticed is the arm, the right arm. And it just looks really ugly cut off like that. So it's a no-no. Now we go to Simon West, and he is dabbling into some boxing photo. the thing is, I just realized just now that there is a guy to the left because he's so small and so basically thin on the left side of the frame. I didn't even notice he was actually even holding a mouthpiece and he's giving to him. That's the whole story of it. It's not obvious enough for me. Like the arm has to be like more present. The mouthpiece should be there so you can really see what's going on. And the guy's face, that really small sliver of a face over there, it just doesn't really work. And that's my biggest gripe for this photo.
Yeah, this was a good idea, but it was bad execution. And the guy's face being really small, so that's not necessarily a problem. It's a problem the way this picture is because it's vertical instead of horizontal. Think about if this had been cropped to the top of the guy's headgear, and that empty space in the what are those things called in boxing? The ropes.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the dark space there, and I like the way the light is bouncing off the ropes. So the problem is that if you crop it to the top of his head, you lose all of that, and that's not good. But what you would gain if you did that was then his face is a bigger percentage of the frame. It's still not good. It's still not what how you would want it, but it would kind of maximize him. Like you would notice him a lot more if there wasn't all that empty space in there. But the problem is that wouldn't make it a better picture. What would? This is a matter, like I talk about this a lot when you're shooting wide, that even a little change in the, one step to either side can change the composition a lot, or, even just tilting the camera up or down or side to side is going to change the composition a lot. That's where you really need to be paying attention to everything that's going on in the frame. Because if I was looking at that, what I would see is I don't want that big bright light in there, and I'm not going to Photoshop it out. So the only other way is to compose it out, either outside of the frame or put it behind the guy's head. So you would have had to have gotten down a little bit more. And I don't know what this place is like. I don't know if you would have been able to do that or not. But if you had moved down a little bit and over to the left a little bit, you would have had a picture, because that annoying light in the middle wouldn't be there. And you would have a more balanced composition that showed the guy, the boxer and the trainer in better positioning in the frame. So the problem is the guy's face is too small and that bright light are in there, and both of those things are composition errors. The thinking behind this was good. This could have very easily been a very good picture, but it's just a composition problem.
Yeah. Man, it really is. It was a good idea. Not good. Simon West, another boxing picture, and I've seen enough boxing pictures at this point in my life, like from old stuff to new stuff. And if you want to like take a picture of like an impact, like the punch landing on the guy's face, I mean, I like to see a bit more. Like I want to see the guy's like face kind of distorted because of the strength of the punch, and also like maybe some blood flying or some sweat flying, some liquid flying. It has to be a bit more dramatic. Like this doesn't look like that, and for that reason only. And not that like I think like all boxing pictures should be like that anyway. But if you're aiming for that, you've absolutely failed this one. And there's no way to it. And I think it's a matter of like, because of the fact that like I don't know how many like clean hits that boxers land per match, but if you want to get that picture, you just have to keep on shooting and get the timing right and everything else, because you need to really get upon the moment of impact where things are just all over the place. And this is really just a very boring impact picture, and it's terrible.
It's not even like, it's not an impact picture. They're just pushing each other, really. It's not a punch that he's landing. He's just pushing his head away from him.
Well, that's even
no,
worse.
I mean, no, it looks like the guy in the red is pushing on the one guy's shoulder, and the guy, like, it's too close. It's too close to have been a punch. So he's just, like keeping his head away from him. Keeping him like in the range where he can hit him. So I don't even think it's a punch.
It's not even.
Yeah, I mean, no, like look at his arm. It's not like neither of their arms is like flexed like it's punching. It's just absorbing the blow. But anyway, none of that matters. And it doesn't matter if it was an impact picture or not, because that's not the only picture that you can make, right? They're, you know, these guys, you're very close to them. They're in a lot of pain. They're, you know, pushing their bodies to the limit. They're going to make weird faces and expressions, and there's going to be sweat in their faces or whatever. Like, you need to look for those kind of things, because there's none of that in here. Like, no good expressions. This picture is in focus, and you didn't really cut very much off. That's about the best you could say. It's just as boring as it can be.
And Simon's third one. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I don't know.
It's fine. This is fine. It's not great, you know, but I feel that it is, you know, like a good enough idea, and he did, you know, he cleared the bar. Like, if the bar was, you know, shoot something with a bunch of obstructions in front of you, that you definitely did that, you know. And is this a picture that would stop me for a second? Yeah, but it would stop me to try to figure out what was going on, not because I was wowed by what was going on. So, you know, it's okay. You know, I like the idea again, but it's difficult to do this because of how the things are arranged, and not having any of the, you know, the guy's like torso or head or anything. Like, it really is disembodied at that point, and I'm not sure that, I don't know. I'm not sure that it works super well because of that.
Well, the thing is, like, what I don't like is the arm. And there's that really just throws me. Like, not the guy in the foreground's arm, but like the guy who's actually kicking the ball, like his arm. It just doesn't do anything to me at all. And I think it distracts from the whole thing. Whether or not, like, if I saw this picture, whether or not I want to basically, if I did this once, or if I try to do this, and if I get an image like this, if I want to try it again, I would. But for some reason, like, I really don't like the balance of the entire picture. Like, I think that pole thing on the right is fine. The guy to the left is fine in the foreground. Like, I think that does work very, very well. But whether or not hiding the rest of the kicker's body, if it adds anything to the entire image, I don't think it really does. But, you know, Matt said it does. I don't. And you're gonna have to, like, just kind of see it for yourself, you know, and decide if you're gonna try something like this again and see if it's gonna work, or try hiding different parts of the body and see what is gonna actually work and what's not gonna work. Simon's got a lot. That's fine. This doesn't have to be here. Matt Cohen?
Yeah, I don't like the angle of it, but I think it's probably good enough anyway.
Yeah. There you go. Now we get to the bad part of the whole thing. The good part. Well, I guess the good part. Aaron Trevina is the board rescue relay. I'm just gonna read the title. It's so boring. Like, I'm sure board rescue relay is it fun? I have no idea if it's fun or not. I'm sure it's fun for people doing it, no?
I've never even heard of it. Okay, so this is a disaster, and it's the kind of thing where I think you wrapped up on, you know, these are your girls or whatever, and that makes it more interesting to you. But the problem is that the composition, I see that you've managed to keep the horizon straight, but the problem is that you're at a weird angle to all of the lane markers, and not weird in a good way. And the action is happening too far into the frame, and it gets swallowed up by everything. Because look at the overall tones of this is the light bouncing off the water, the light bouncing off of the wall in the back, and the light bouncing off of their heads. And it's all like everything gets lost. Like, it's just everything falls off the edge, because it's just, there's so much glare from, you know, because of the way that you were shooting and the way that the light was. And because there's no defining action in this. Like, is that little splash of water supposed to be interesting? It's not. Like, whatever is happening here, you know, what could this be? I don't know. It looks like just people messing around with a piece of blue plastic. Like, it doesn't, there's no form to this or anything like that. Like, I don't know what this thing is, but you need to make it look like something. Right now, it looks like nothing. It looks like people just having a, just jumping in the pool to clean themselves off or cool off or something like that. Like this isn't. It's not athletic. It's not. There's nothing happening here. It's just three girls messing around with a piece of plastic. For all we can tell by looking at this.
I think there is like this phenomena of I'm going to shoot my child thing to playing sports, and that's like what you're shooting. But I am begging you, as a parent myself, and how many shitty pictures I have on my iPhone that I've kept just because it's my daughter. Please do not shoot your picture and send it to please do not shoot your kid's picture and send it to us, because I think you're being absolutely subjective to it, and I understand that.
Wait, are we banning people from sending in pictures of their own kids?
I think we should, because like it doesn't make them like, the thing is like if you take a very good picture,
we can't be out of business.
I don't really mind like if you actually go to an event and actually shoot your kids. I've got no problem. It's your kids. Do what you're gonna do. All right. But I would actually then tell yourself, okay, my kid, whatever I have to do with my kids, like their event or whatever's done, then you can start shooting other kids. And then you'll be a lot more objective. I'll just hope like that.
I agree with that. Not the rule, but I definitely agree that you'll be able to judge your pictures better, and because of that, you'll be able to get better as a photographer if you shoot people other than your kids. Because this, I'm only guessing. Like this, we could be lecturing this dude, and it's not even his kids, but I'm guessing there's some kind of connection there that is beyond what's in the picture, and that's the problem, is that we can't see any of that, and so it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, if it
needs to be more interesting.
If these are not your gift, one of them is not your kids, or not all of them are not, then that's still a bad photo anyway. So don't.
The thing is, you need to bring it back to like what you can do differently. You need to have a better angle at this, and you need to be closer. So does that mean getting in the pool? No, it doesn't. It means waiting until the action comes closer to you, or moving to a place where it's more likely that the action is going to come to you. If you're shooting like this, does it look like 50 or something like that? Does it say?
123.
So this is pretty far away. So
it's too far.
You need to get closer.
Yeah, if you can get into water for these events, and if you can get like some kind of a protection for your camera, just don't drop it. Man, just get closer. Like if it's just water that you're worried about, there's plenty of ways you can go on the internet and try to find out like how to protect your camera from little splash of water. You can totally do it. Just get closer. I'm not asking you to go buy a housing. There's a lot cheaper way to make your camera splash proof, and just go, if you can, go inside and just take a photo like a lot closer, because this is really just horribly boring. Scott Stokehaug, the guy who had really good light, and now apparently it's lost for the rest of the season. Now he's back. And
this is a good picture.
Yeah, it's interesting.
This is a good picture. Yeah,
it shouldn't be here. I don't like the background.
No, but that does suck. Like, what lens is he using here?
2.8.
Yeah, okay. Get an 85 1.4 if you're going to shoot wrestling, or a 135 f2, maybe something like that.
Better because it's really bad.
Well, you're not going to get it. That's the thing is that unless you're shooting in that weird Renaissance painting place, you're not going to get the wrestling is like this. Like they have many meets going, or one meet, but many matches going on at the same time, and they're all going to be in the frame. You can't control this background except for aperture.
Yeah, but if you're going to shoot 1.8, then I hope the focus in. Yeah, that's going to be quite difficult, though. But you can do it, try.
Yeah.
As long as they don't come towards you, it'll be okay.
It's always unless the action came right to the edge of the ring, you're not going to, at 2.8, you're not going to be able to do much with the background. That's what it comes down to. So, even like you could do cool things with a 50 1.4, and that's not even really all that much money. So, I would look at that if you're going to be faced with these kind of backgrounds, because what we're seeing here, this is a limitation of the gear. This, like, you did everything that you were supposed to do right here. Like, this is good. this is when we're talking about interesting moments, like think back to the picture of the boxers like pushing each other away, and then look at what's going on here. I mean, this is like, I wouldn't even know how to tell people to get into this position, and he's figured out how to catch it. I think that's really cool. I really like how their bodies are fitting together. It's bizarre, but
yeah, no, I do too. But
yeah,
to me, like it's my eyes go directly to the background.
Right.
That's the really no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's okay with all the timing stuff, huh, Scott?
Yeah.
So now it's just like Matt said, get a faster lens and see if it's gonna work. Like, it's not very exciting, It's fine. Like, I don't know.
It's fine. Like, this picture is fine. This picture would run on the front page of many newspapers. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you've shown us that you can do more interesting work than this. Just one body and a mushy background. There's only so much you can do. Even if, like, he could be, making faces and using his fingers as glasses or something like that, and it's still only, one person in the background. Like, the degree of difficulty and the degree of how interesting it is, it's like, it's not enough. Like, this is beginner stuff, and you've been with us for a few years, and you're beyond this. So let's, this doesn't need to be in training ground, because what are we going to tell you?
It's fine.
Yeah, you got it in focus. You blurred out the background. There's steam coming out of his mouth or whatever. Like, that's all fine. But if you were trying to get gig or something like that, is this the one picture that you would show them? Like, it's not enough. It's just not enough.
I mean, like, it's one of those pictures that if I got it and if I'm looking at it, it's like, well, it's all right. It goes into the garbage chute because it's not interesting enough for me, All right. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing,
Yeah,
like,
it's exactly the same
match
thing.
picture.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine. What you've showed us in these two pictures is that you know what you're doing, but that you're also not really into taking chances.
Yeah.
Or or maybe you did take a bunch of chances and are too shy to show them to us. One of those two.
It's good. He's getting tackled, losing the ball. I mean, you can see that immediately. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. And it's interesting. You can see the guy's face. The action's there. I like the lights. It shouldn't be here. I was really
I think
that Reed should really stop shooting bicycle. I mean, it's gotten better, but I think he does other sports a lot better than bicycle stuff. Like, I really think he does. But he likes his bicycle stuff, so I'm not gonna.
I'm not willing to go. I'm not willing to go that far. He has shown improvement in the bicycle pictures too, and I think that stuff is harder just because of the geometry involved. The shooting people on bikes is not easy because it ends up being horizontal crops of what should be vertical, and just how far they are off the ground and what position their body. Cycling is not that kind of cycling is not easy to shoot. You're making
I know
landscapes.
It's not.
Like the best cycling photographer ever is known for landscape pictures that happen to have bike pictures in it. It's like, what he does every year, the Tour de France. And the reason is because just shooting people on bikes, like, unless you're on a climb with a really long lens or something like that, it's not super, like, aesthetically pleasing. It's really not.
It's not. And I've actually shot biking recently, like a month ago, 2 months ago, a month ago, and I find it horribly boring to shoot it because it's just, if you cannot get close to them, there's no, like, kind of like that movement or like the dynamic thing going on as you're so far. So all you're kind of like hoping for is just kind of shapes and lines and things like that. Try to like make something that's not very exciting. But I don't know. Like, I really do think that Reed has gotten a lot better in general. Like, this is a really good shot. Huh? Like, I'm really surprised.
Yeah,
actually. Like, he's very good. And he's gotten much better since he started. So keep it up. And the bike stuff has actually gone better as well.
We
So
should, yeah, we should explain why this is good. I think that it would be instructive. I like the light here and how he's used
yeah,
it. And the difference between this is that there is legit impact here, right? Those guys are crushing this guy, and he is either throwing the ball away at the last second or he's fumbling it, if that's what they call it in rugby. I have no idea. But, this is legit. Like, that's what's happening. Like, they're hitting him. They're running into him right now and separating him from the ball, whether it was, on purpose or by accident.
yeah, but this should be an assignment
that's
desk, huh? No?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. He's not in the air, but anyway, this is the timing, and like if he had made this picture like before they had hit him, or if the ball had been out of the frame or something like that, it would have been way less interesting. But that fraction of a second where he shot this, it was the right fraction of a second.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Alvaro, man. Like, I'm kind of like, I was just talking to a photographer recently about this whole panning thing, and his agency told him, like, yeah, you know what, we should do some panning. We should take more panning stuff in football matches because that's going to make you think a lot more creatively. And I think it gets to a point that unless it's a superb panning picture, it's the most boring and the most mundane thing ever, because it's very difficult to actually do unless like if the subject is basically moving north, south, or east or west. If there's any sort of movement, it's also like it's not very easy to do. And when you try to make it easy, so when you actually like up the shutter speed a bit too high, it becomes something like this. That there's movement, you can see the panning stuff, but it's so incredibly fucking boring. And it's just so boring. It's a guy fucking dribbling the ball, and it's not beautiful. Like, it's just it's terrible, And
it's too fast. It's too fast, and the composition is bad. Like, if this had been way, way, way slower, and that guy had not been in the background, or if he had been blurred out, to the level that the crowd is blurred out, maybe. What is it at?
20.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like 20th of a second is panning for things that are going very fast, like cars or horses or something like that. But even like when I shoot horses and I'm panning, 20th is maybe the fastest that I would go. Like, you need to get down to a 10th or a 5th or something like that. If for humans moving, like, they're just not moving fast enough for a 20th of a second to really pan anything. No. When you can see individual, like when you can tell where one fan begins and the other fan ends or whatever, you have not panned enough, or you've not gone slow enough.
I mean, you can't do the thing is, if you do it in 10th of a second, if you do it in fifth of a second, that means you're probably going to throw away at least 15, 20 minutes, because likelihood of you actually getting any good photos from 10th of a second or 5th of a second in a football match where they move, not just left and right, they come towards you. Like, there's a lot of movement. It's like three-dimensional movement that really throws off the whole panning thing, because you want at least like get important parts of the body to be in focus while you're panning. You have to like really dedicate yourself to it. And at that point, so I'm gonna just concentrate and do it. And you might not get anything.
You have to risk it. It's so important. You have to risk not getting anything, because if it was that easy, if you could get the pictures every time, doing what you were supposed to do, then everybody would have them. Like, it's your choices that make you the photographer that you are. And if you choose to make a big risk and maybe come away with nothing, I get it. Going to shoot, I've shot Tottenham before. I've never shot. No, I've shot both of them, but not against each other, right? And I don't do it regularly, so it was a big deal when I shot both of those teams. I get it, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't going to be experimenting, because 90 minutes, that's a long time. And if you can't devote 15 minutes of a 90-minute game to doing something interesting or out of the ordinary or something like that, then you're going to end up with this being the, like the limit of what you're doing creatively. And that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. Moving on. But it's much better. It's so much better, this one. It's not like if you do panning, everything's going to be great. It really isn't. Like, I think, like, I now pan when I feel like, okay, I haven't panned in a while, I'm gonna pan. Like that's kind of how I feel about it now. Like I don't even actually go into any sporting event at this point thinking I need to pan, because I think it's been done, and it like I said, it takes a lot of tries to get anything right in that speed. And yeah, like I think it's just for the time that I'm gonna dedicate myself to panning, I can do other things. And I don't want to kind of like be a bit I don't want to use it as a crutch, to I don't know, like I can think of like I should be able to actually be thinking about doing other things, instead of actually just using panning all the time for like the non-standard sports photography. And this is good. This is absolutely fine, though.
It's too I'm not wild about this picture. I mean, like what I would want to see is like if it's muddy out there, I want to see more mud than this. Like if this guy's sliding or something, there's going to be more mud in a minute, and maybe there was a collision or something like that, and that's what I would want to see. This is better, it's definitely the separation that he gets and the body positioning or whatever is cool. But it's it's fine. It doesn't need to be in training ground, but I don't know. I don't know what I would do with it, but I guess what I would say is that if your go-to, like when you get bored or when you want to try something, is panning, then make something else your go-to for a little while. Like you do need to move beyond that, and you do need to plan to do different things. And if all you're doing is, I'm bored, so I'm going to pan, that's not super creative. That's better than most of the people are doing, but that's just like the minimum to get above it.
Moving on. Reflection of Basketball by Trevor McMillan.
No, this is just, it's boring.
I mean, there has to be something really exciting happening in the background for this to work.
Yeah, I mean, like a fight or a ref like throwing somebody out of the game or something like that. But what you have is like, okay, the ball came to a rest here or something and it was right in front of you, so you took a picture. That's a good instinct to have. But you also have to look at it fairly after it's all over again and say, okay, well, what's going on? There's not anybody picking up this ball. There's not anybody doing anything cool in the background. The reflection isn't even perfect, and the floor is scuffed up. So this isn't like a Wilson product shot or something like that. So what's the use case for this picture? Right, Wilson's not going to use this picture because they would want there to be something interesting, and they wouldn't want the shot clock to be in it. They wouldn't want a green and yellow team to be behind it or something. Like you can have a product shot like this. You could set up lights and you can arrange everything, and that's fine. That's still a sports picture, right? And you could still probably make some money off of that. But this is like a on-the-fly version of a product picture, and nobody uses those. So I don't know what you would. I don't know what you would do with this.
No.
Who would want to look at it for more than 15 seconds or something?
I mean, the thing is, like, if you have something that is not really, really interesting as your main subject, you cannot rely on that to carry the picture. Like, you need a lot more going on in front of it or behind it or just basically around it. And if your main thing for this one was to get the reflection, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, okay, what else is really happening besides the reflection? There's nothing happening, and that's just a shit picture. Aaron Trevina, this is, I think, is part 2 of It Could Be Your Kids, but it could not be your kids, but it's swimming. You are at some point going to get beyond, because swimming, I was just, when I started shooting bouldering, the reason I chose bouldering was that there's a lot of action going on, which is not two-dimensional, meaning it doesn't go in one direction. And also it's not repetitive action, which means it's not the same shit over and over and over. So take swimming, for instance. Swimming is repetitive. Swimming goes only in one direction. So to get really interesting swimming shot, you have to be really, 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 really creative. Like really, really, really creative. And really, like, after a while, like, it's just painful to like be shooting these things because it's the same shit every single time. And it probably is one of the easiest sports to shoot, just because of the fact that if you have to shoot it for the agency or for a newspaper, it's it's not difficult to shoot it. You know, like you just have to get the timing right. I mean, let's say like you have to shoot the 50 meter sprint. Or what? Yeah, that's like you have to go. They go there and they come back. So you don't have much of a chance to shoot a good, decent picture if you miss a couple of them. But at the end of the day, it's not very, very difficult. So if you're gonna keep on doing this, then you have to like, I would really, you could like really go and look at Google and look at Olympic images in the past and see what kind of stuff that people have actually done. Well, like Matt and I say all the time, like at this level, you're not actually shooting Olympic level swimming. You're gonna have better access. You can start, thinking about different things you can actually do to get, good, really interesting image that will not be possible at Olympics, for instance. So it's fine. You did this now. You see the kid's face in swimming, great. But beyond that, you need to really start getting very creative, because if I see another one of these things, basically 3 or 4 lanes, you're basically having the focus on the kid in the foreground. I'm gonna say, Aaron, like you gotta start doing something else, because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, you don't want to just be standing on the deck and shooting down. Like you need to have a plan. You don't just walk out there with the camera and look through and just start pushing the button. Like that's just, you will get distracted by the physical act of it because you didn't put the work in to plan what to do. And how do I know that you didn't plan? Because I'm looking at the 2 pictures and it just looks like you were just looking through the camera and just pushing the button when something was happening. And that's just not enough. It's just not what we do. So you need to find a more interesting angle. That's a lot of times going to be either a lot lower or a lot higher. I don't know what this pool is like, if they have stands that you could maybe shoot down onto it with a little bit longer of a lens maybe, or, if somebody is swimming in the lane that's closest to you, are you able to lay down on the deck to shoot it, or at the ends, but you need to find more interesting angles than what you're doing here, because these are just they're just snapshots really at the end of it. Like they don't show any kind of like creativity or composition or anything like that. It's just, this is what I saw, so I pushed the button, and we really, really, really need to move people away from that as quickly as we can.
And don't try to actually like fit the entire action in. Like just think about body parts as well, like hands.
Yeah, and look for the most important thing. Like the most important thing is almost always going to be the face, unless you're, maybe doing something with the hands or the feet or something like that. But, mostly it's going to be, you're going to want to see the face, and you're going to want to see, like the picture before we were talking about, it was muddy out there, but I didn't see any mud. Well, here I have face and I have some water splashing around, but it's such a small percentage of the overall frame that every other pixel that's not her face or the splashing that's right behind her head is distracting from the things that you want people to look at. So you need to, you really need to maximize what's going on here, and you're not doing that at all.
Oh, so I see. I just read it. So the guy just got booked. This is not interesting. It's just not interesting. Like if the guy's actually getting booked or something, like, you need to actually like really see the ref yelling at the player. You want to see a card. There should be a lot more like animated thing going on. It's just not interesting enough. In that respect, it's like it's fine. Like if you're gonna actually, if this runs on a paper or for a website, for a match report, you're gonna see like, oh yeah, like this guy, whoever it is, this player got booked for whatever tackle or foul that he actually did. It's absolutely fine. But if that's not the case, then this is the most boring shot ever. And people would actually understand, like looking at the picture, think, okay, I know what's going on. Like this guy's getting booked for something. But that's where the story ends. And it's not very exciting because there's no temper flares. The reference is not like yelling or being animated, like I said. And yeah, there's not really much more to go for it. Like, I don't think it's a terrible picture, but it's not the most exciting thing. It's like the toy picture we just saw was the guy, the goalkeeper, with his breath coming out from his mouth. That's it, It's just quite one-dimensional. Like, you need to add more to it to ask that to be a bit more of an interesting picture. All right, so Matt's still going to move on.
No, I mean, it's okay. It's not, you know, I'm not as down on it as you are. I think it's fine as a standalone, but it's also, you know, again, it's not. It's just what it is. It's just this is what was happening. There's not. It's not like a peak moment like that. I don't know. It's not enough. That's just all I can say. Like there would definitely need to be something more. It's not terrible. It doesn't need to be here, but it's also not one that I would be parading around.
I feel like I've actually seen a picture like this before, you know, the whole ball in the air business.
Yeah, well, we've seen it here before, and
Yeah.
we've talked about it. You know, it's fine. You know,
Oh,
this is what you were going for.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, it's fine. Like, you know, this is something that people do. I don't.
He cropped in a really weird Instagram format as well.
Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, it should be a vertical crop, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about, like, what's the point of it? Right. It's not a new, again, we go back to the ball on the ground. Like, it's not a new ball. They wouldn't have picked this, you know, setting or whatever to do this. So what is it? To show that you can do it? Okay, that's fine. Definitely you need to prove to yourself that you've gotten better and that you can do a certain thing or whatever. Yeah, that's good. What it isn't is, it's not even really anything. Like, you can build on the fact that you accomplished something, but you can't build on this picture, right? There's just, you've done it. You don't ever need to do it again. She's not, like, if she had been in a weird position, like, there are pitchers in the major leagues that when they throw the ball, their body takes them to third base or something. Like, it's just a super weird kind of motion that all the momentum is going in a different direction. And if she had been doing something like that and you froze the ball, then that would be kind of cool. But she's just doing what every other pitcher does when they're done throwing the ball. They're follow through. Like, it's not, so all you have, like, the only thing that you have is the fact that you froze the ball in midair, and that's not that great. Like, it's not, you don't brag about something like that. So you've done it, move on, figure out, you know, something that's more creative, or figure out a way that you can do this with actually something cool in the background. That's fine too, but it's not enough.
It's absolutely fine. I like
it. Yeah,
it's a good picture. Yeah. It's good. I mean, I don't care, like, if I can, I just saw the ball. But for me, it doesn't really matter if the ball's there or not. Like, I like that.
It doesn't. I think it should be cropped tighter, though, especially because you have to work so hard to see the ball. I think that if he had cropped it to, like, the edge of where the mud is, and then you know, maybe a little bit into the goal, and then to where his foot is, you know, just like the meat of the picture, then the ball would look more prominent and you wouldn't have to kind of hunt for it so much. So I would do that, because that extra grass and the extra netting or whatever isn't really helping.
No, but the action is very, very good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's nice. All right, so my daughter actually kept herself entertained watching Mickey Mouse Club. Apparently that's what it is. It's a new Mickey Mouse thing. That ends the training ground. So if you just came here by accident, this is a part of the Big Lens Fast Shutter franchise that we run, that comprise of the website. If you want more information, please go to biglensfastshutter.com. And if you want, hold on, and if you want to get more information over this, you can actually go to flickr.com and search for Big Lens Fast Shutter, and you'll be able to actually see the group and get more information there. Okay, Matt, can you hold 2 seconds? Matt?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm back. Well, that's it, basically. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully next time my daughter will be somewhere else and she can occupy herself doing something other than crying at me because Netflix has actually stopped showing her more entertaining Mickey Mouse footage. So thank you, and see you next month. on another edition of Trading Rapid. Not good.
It still says live.
Huh? Is it really? Oh, crap.
It still says live.
Sorry.